As the new Trump administration begins to take shape, controversy swirls around his choices for two key posts. The tension on Capitol Hill over a report that dug through the past of one of Trump's nominees.
Rain chances return this weekend, but timing is all important. We'll track a line of downpours and potentially severe storms in first warning weather.
After weeks of impassioned arguments in the state's high court, a new ruling appears to seal the fate of a death row inmate whose story has garnered national attention.
But first, as police continue to investigate an overnight homicide in North Austin, we're learning about the arrest in a homicide that happened last week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. Police say the man killed last week had been in the area for an anger management appointment. And as KXAN's Brianna Hollis shows us now, the man accused of shooting him is a convicted felon.
We now know more about the man killed at this crime scene last week. Police say just before 6 p.m., 30-year-old Levante Harrison drove up to a building on East US 290, got out of the car, repeatedly shot 33-year-old Shelby Cody, and drove off.
There was no conversation, no provocation, no conversation, and he began firing at Shelby.
According to Harrison's arrest affidavit, he and Cody were in the same court-ordered anger management class and had been for several months. Online court records show Harrison is a convicted felon, serving sentences for drug possession as well as assault family violence. Under Texas law, individuals convicted of assault family violence are not supposed to be in possession of guns. The Lone Star Fugitive Task Force brought Harrison in on a parole violation 5 days after the shooting, and APD filed murder charges in this case the next day.
I also want to thank the witnesses that came forward in this homicide. Their cooperation and willingness to assist detectives played a major role in us being able to make an arrest.
We asked APD about the building's safety protocol in this case.
It sounds like the staff there kind of followed a pretty standard safety protocol of locking the business down and contacting the authorities and sheltering in place till officers arrive.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
And there is no attorney information listed yet for Harrison. As for last night's homicide, police say that happened around 1 a.m. at an apartment complex in North Central Austin. APD said officers have someone in custody and were questioning multiple witnesses. No further details are available at this time. I'll go in depth. This morning's homicide was Austin's 61st of the year. At this point last year, according to KXAN reports, we had seen 59 homicides. Now, last year ended with 73 total homicides. That was up from a total of 71 in 2022, but down from a record 88 in 2021.
Today, the Texas Supreme Court ruled against lawmakers who stopped the execution of death row inmate Robert Robertson with a last-minute subpoena. Robertson was scheduled to die by lethal injection on October 17th when lawmakers issued a subpoena to have him plead his case at the Texas Capitol days after his planned execution. The state's high court ruled today that a legislative subpoena cannot be used to stop an execution. A new execution date has not been set, but it will move forward unless Governor Greg Abbott grants a 30-day reprieve.
Well, after a year of legal back and forth, Austin real estate investor Nate Paul turned himself in last night to begin a 10-day jail sentence for criminal contempt of court. A Travis County District Judge found Paul guilty of perjury and defined an injunction in a civil case. Now, that case linked to Paul to allegations against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was accused of wrongfully using his office to help Paul in that case. Paxton was impeached, but then acquitted in a Senate trial over those and other allegations. Nate Paul also faces a dozen federal counts of bank and wire fraud related to his real estate work. His trial in that case is expected to begin in February.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Were you up early this morning, say 6, 7, and then did you get outside? Did you feel this? Widespread 40s and 30s. Easily our coldest morning of the season. Although a vast majority of us stayed well above freezing, it sure was a taste of what fall should feel like from time to time, right? Temperatures outside right now in the low to mid 70s in most areas. A very pleasant afternoon. Pretty nice feel to the early evening as well. And clear skies on clouds and radar. High school football tonight. The temperatures will drop in a hurry. We've got a kickoff playoff game, kicks off at 7. Vista Ridge taking on Westlake, and look how these 60s turn into 50s by the fourth quarter under a clear sky. That's a game you can watch live on KBVO, by the way. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we are warming back up into the 80s. We'll track the temperatures at day and at night ahead of a new storm coming our way to end the weekend. We'll talk about not only the rain, but the potential for severe weather and even the potential later next week for a patchy freeze.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. More than a week after Election Day, all Travis, Hayes, and Williamson County ballots have been unofficially tallied, and they are enough for KXAN to call an apparent winner in the Austin mayoral race. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson will keep his spot at the helm of the city after he took more than 50% of the unofficial vote. He is projected to win outright. Watson secured more than 175,000 votes, which is 14 more than the runoff threshold. Tonight on KXAN News at 6 o'clock, our Grace Reader sits down for an exclusive interview with the mayor as he prepares to lead the city for another term.
Well, as President-elect Donald Trump forms a new administration, lawmakers are weighing in on whether details of a House investigation into his Attorney General choice, Matt Gaetz, should be released.
As NBC's Alice Barr reports, Trump is also sending shockwaves through Washington with his pick to lead Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Fresh fallout today from President-elect Trump's more controversial administration picks. From vocal vaccine skeptic Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who he tapped to head the Department of Health and Human Services.
RFK Jr.
And praised overnight.
We want you to come up with things and ideas and what you've been talking about for a long time, and I think you're going to do some unbelievable things.
To Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Senators in both parties are pressing for the results of a bipartisan House Ethics Committee review into allegations of sexual misconduct and drug use that Gaetz denies. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying he will strongly request that report not be released because Gaetz resigned from the House to pursue the AG job.
I believe it is very important to maintain the House's tradition of not issuing ethics reports on people who are no longer members of Congress. I think it would open a Pandora's box.
In 2 past cases, ethics reports have been released after or on the same day a lawmaker left Congress.
The Senate, I think, has a right to get the appropriate information so that it can make a decision about the confirmation.
And as Senate Republicans' newly elected leader promises an aggressive confirmation schedule, critics from the halls of Congress to the nation's hospitals are raising concerns about RFK Jr.
I've never seen this kind of shock and awe amongst public health officials.
Kennedy holds no medical or public health degree and has promoted unorthodox health ideas and outright conspiracy theories, including suggesting that HIV is not the real cause of AIDS, now tapped to lead thousands of employees at the CDC, NIH, and FDA. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And the World Health Organization is stressing the importance of vaccines to help save lives worldwide. In a report released earlier this year, the World Health Organization said global immunization efforts have saved an estimated 154 million lives over the past half century. That's roughly equivalent to 6 lives every minute of every year. And more than 101 million of those lives were children.
Vaccines are the reason so many more of us have survived to adulthood than we ever did before. They are so effective that they're almost a victim of their success. That the diseases they prevent aren't seen in many communities, such as polio.
And public health officials have decried the president-elect's choice in nominating RFK Jr. to lead HHS as, quote, dangerous.
Pflugerville ISD says a Windermere Elementary School parent incorrectly reported a case of measles to the school's nurse. Now, this comes after the district issued a letter to staff and parents saying a student had been diagnosed with the rare respiratory virus. In an update to parents, the school district said in part, quote, "We want to assure you that there is no confirmed case of measles at Windermere Elementary. We understand that this situation may have caused worry, and we sincerely apologize for any confusion." Pflugerville ISD said its staff reported the measles case to Austin Public Health, who researched it further and determined the student did not have the virus.
We started the day at 42 degrees officially in Austin, but we recovered 76, made it an above average afternoon. and we'll keep the warming going into the weekend. We'll track the rain and a bigger cool down for next week in First Warning Weather.
The high school football playoffs have begun as two successful local teams face off.
Our Jonathan Thomas is live at the Palace to preview tonight's Lake Travis and Round Rock playoff opener. Jonathan.
That's right, guys. It's every team's quest to make it to Arlington in December. It takes 5 wins to get there, 6 to hoist the state championship trophy, and Round Rock and Lake Travis will begin that quest tonight here at the Palace in the bi-district round of the playoffs. Round Rock went 8-2 in the regular season, and the Dragons had an excellent one, falling just short of the district title. Now, when Round Rock wins, they usually score a lot of points. The Dragons averaged 34 points per game in their 8 wins during the regular season. Lake Travis, on the other hand, they're 9-1, and aside from their one slip-up against Westlake, the Cavaliers have been dominant, especially in district play. LT only allowed more than 1 touchdown twice in district. Meanwhile, they averaged 45 points per game in district. Of course, the playoffs are a whole different story, so we'll see how both teams attack each other tonight. Once again, kickoff will be right here at the Palace. And over on KBVO, Westlake will take on Vista Ridge. That game will kick off at 7 o'clock as well. We'll have highlights of those games and much more tonight on Friday game night at 10 o'clock. From the Palace, I'm Jonathan Thomas. Let's go back over to you.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. And we're already in the playoffs, and it's barely starting to feel like football weather.
Yeah, finally, right? They could have used this weeks ago for some more comfortable fall football games here on a Friday evening. But yeah, really nice evening ahead of us. A touch cool, so if you're heading out, it's not shorts weather later this evening. Certainly would throw on a jacket if you have one to grab with you. The Barons Creek Vineyards right now in Fredericksburg, a completely clear sky, gorgeous view there. And we've got clear skies across just about the entire state. But our next storm is building in the western states. You can see the circulation there over portions of Nevada into the Utah area. And more broadly speaking, there's a digging trough of low pressure over most of the western states right now, and that's going to help to support some lift and eventually some rain and storms entering central Texas later this weekend. Saturday is going to be a dry day, but we are going to start with some clouds tomorrow morning as our moisture levels start to increase, and then those morning clouds will lift away to reveal a beautiful, mostly sunny, warmer afternoon. And then those low clouds come back more so for Sunday. They may even bring a few spotty morning showers, sprinkles, or drizzle. I don't expect a lot of rain, but maybe a few raindrops here and there. And then the sun pokes out for the afternoon, helping temperatures to soar into the mid-80s. There's still going to be an ongoing chance for an isolated shower or storm Sunday afternoon, but most of the daylight hours of Sunday should be rain-free. Then we get into Sunday evening, and our shower coverage starts to ramp up. But by far the highest rain chances will come with this brief line of downpours and storms that arrives as we get into Monday morning. Say 6, 7, 8 o'clock, it's in the hill country, approaching the metros. We get closer to 9, 10 o'clock, and then it's in our eastern counties through the middle of the day, and then pulling out as we get into your Monday afternoon. So overnight lows tonight down to 53, some areas of low clouds by morning. Tomorrow, though, a very bright day and a high of 81. 84 Sunday. 40% chance for just a little bit of rain. Don't think we get much on Sunday. Sunday night, say after about 9, 10 o'clock, it may be a bit wetter by then. But most of our rain comes Monday in the morning. 70% rain coverage now for Monday morning. Not all Monday is wet. I think the afternoon the sun's going to come out. But watch out, there is a severe weather risk late Sunday night into early Monday morning. It's a 1 out of 5 along and west of 35. But in portions of the hill country, it's a 2 out of 5. Wind damage is our primary concern. And then for mid to late Monday morning through the middle of the day, the severe weather risk shifts a little farther east and basically north of Austin, the possibility for now of severe weather. Not a lot of rain coming Sunday, Monday, but it's some. We think those that see rain, and remember about 70% of us should, 1/4 inch to 1 inch of rain, some higher amounts possible, likely just north of our area Sunday and Monday. The story after the rain is done is going to be the intrusion of much colder air. There's going to be a cold front, but there's also going to be another surge of colder air later on Tuesday. That'll push our low temperatures by Thursday morning down to 40 in Austin. But look at these mid-30s in the hill country Thursday morning. There could even be a few spots that touch the freezing mark. So frost possible, even some patchy light freezes possible next Thursday morning. That would be our first of the season. And chillier highs Wednesday, Thursday only in the 60s, but we're back in the mid-70s by Friday.
All right, Nick, thank you. We do want to take a quick live look outside right now. This is northbound I-35 at Schofield Farms. It's right in this area where Austin police officers are working the scene of a crash involving a semi. APD says the semi was carrying metal poles that are now scattered on the road, and all southbound lanes are currently closed. So if you're getting ready to head out onto the interstate, be aware of this and do expect some delays.
Well, a pair of U.S. senators are requesting an investigation into Elon Musk's ongoing conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin and other high-level Russian officials. In a letter to the Department of Defense and the U.S. Attorney General, Democrats Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire and Jack Reed of Rhode Island addressed their concerns. Late last month, the Wall Street Journal reported Musk's conversations with Russia leadership go back as far as 2022. The letter reads in part, quote, "These relationships between a well-known U.S. adversary and Mr. Musk, a beneficiary of billions of dollars in U.S. government funding, pose serious questions regarding Mr. Musk's reliability as a government contractor and a clearance holder." NBC News did reach out to Musk, the Pentagon, and the Justice Department for comment. They have not yet received a response.
The GOP will take control of the House of Representatives. News Nation once again has called it first. Unlike a lot of other outlets, News Nation has no preference in the outcome as long as it is accurate and fair.
To find News Nation, go to joinnn.com.
NASA broke ground today on the Texas A&M Space Institute at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. The facility will help NASA develop technology to make travel easier to the moon and Mars. Texas Space Commission Executive Director Norman Garza said he hopes the new facility will also attract more business to the state.
The new capabilities here within this particular building, you can guarantee that the Space Commission is going to be highlighting those moving forward.
Now, once complete, the Space Institute will feature an indoor 2.5-acre simulated Martian and lunar landscape. The facility is expected to be complete in a little less than 2 years.
More than 2 decades after spotting a mysterious bioluminescent creature swimming in the deep sea, California researchers have determined it is a new species of sea slug. So researchers first noticed what they called a mystery mollusk in the year 2000 at a depth of more than 8,000 feet in the Pacific. The team initially struggled to place the creature in a specific group due to its voluminous hooded structure that you can see there, colorful internal organs, and finger-like projections on its tail. Now, after reviewing more than 150 sightings of the creature and studying it in a lab, researchers determined that it was a new type of sea slug. It lives in the so-called midnight zone, an area of deep ocean known for frigid temperatures, total darkness, and crushing pressure.
Coming up tonight on KXAN, it's Happy's Place at 7 o'clock, followed by Lopez versus Lopez, and then back-to-back St. Dennis Medical at 8 and 8:30. And then after that, we have an all-new Dateline starting at 9 before we're back with KXAN News at 10.